Big thanks to Quincy and the research team. They always dig up the craziest stories. Welcome back to Canadian News Summaries, Episode 2. I'm Mike.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jane.
And we've got a real doozy for you today. There's been, well, a cybersecurity snafu, let's call it, at the Canada Revenue Agency.
Yeah, the CRA. We're talking hackers.
Oh, yeah.
Millions of dollars missing. And it looks like maybe, just maybe, the CRA tried to keep it all under wraps. But before we get into this whole mess, if you find this interesting, do us a favor.
Please.
Hit that follow button, like, and share this podcast.
All right, so Jane, this whole thing started with H&R Block Canada, right?
It seems that way, yeah. Hackers somehow got access to some pretty sensitive data from H&R Block Canada. Not just any data, Mike.
Right,
This
yeah.
was the kind of stuff that can get you into hundreds of Canadian CRA accounts.
So they basically had the keys to the kingdom. What did they do with that? Just snoop around?
They went straight for the money, filed fake tax returns, changed direct deposit info, and pocketed over $6 million in fraudulent refunds.
$6 million.
Yeah.
Wow. Gone. Just like that. That's nuts. So we've got hackers, CRA accounts, millions of dollars stolen. Were there any cases that stood out, like especially strange?
Oh, absolutely. There was one case where a return was filed using a real postal code,
Okay.
but the address completely made up. On a street that doesn't exist, they called it Tomato Street.
Tomato Street. You gotta be kidding me.
I know.
It's almost funny if it wasn't so serious, you know?
Right.
So what did the CRA do when they found out about all this? Did they, sound the alarm?
They contacted the Revenue Minister's office,
Okay.
but they didn't tell the public.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So what's H&R Block saying about this? I mean, their data was leaked, right?
Yeah, they're denying any breach happened in their systems.
Oh, wow.
And they said the taxpayers affected weren't necessarily even their clients.
This is a big blame game. But what is clear is this isn't an isolated incident. Privacy breaches at the CRA are happening more and more often.
Exactly, and it looks like the CRA has been, shall we say, underreporting the number of data breaches to Parliament, significantly.
Oh.
The Privacy Commissioner's report in June only mentions 71 breaches. But then the CRA admitted to, get this, over 31,468 breaches affecting 62,000 taxpayers between March 2020 and December 2023.
Hold on. So you're saying the real number is hundreds of times higher than what was initially reported?
It's a huge discrepancy, and it's fueled calls for a parliamentary inquiry to find out what's really going on.
Makes sense. People want answers.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, is there something fundamentally wrong with how the CRA approaches security? Are they just not taking it seriously?
It does seem like something needs to change. Some people are pointing to the CRA's pay and chase culture, that focus on getting refunds out quickly.
Right.
They think that might actually be part of the problem.
I mean, getting your refund fast is a good thing, right?
Sure, in theory, but by rushing, they might not be checking carefully enough, and that allows fraudulent claims to get through.
So efficiency over security.
Maybe.
So how did the CRA even find out about this whole H&R Block thing in the first place?
It's kind of funny, actually. They stumbled upon postings on the dark web, criminals trying to sell the stolen data.
Wow. So the bad guys tipped them off. That's incredible.
Yeah. But that was actually good because it let them start looking into what happened and stop some of the fraud.
Okay, so that's a win, I guess.
Yeah.
But how much money are we talking about here? This has got to be costing a fortune.
The CRA admits they mistakenly authorized over $190 million in fraudulent payments linked to confirmed data breaches between 2020 and October 2024.
$190 million. And that's just the confirmed cases. That's insane.
Yeah.
You have to wonder how much more has just vanished.
It is a scary thought. And it really highlights how important it is to figure out how to stop this from happening again.
Yeah.
It's our money, after all.
I mean, that's a lot of money down the drain. And it sounds like the CRA might be trying to downplay how bad it really is, right? They're claiming only $3 million was paid out to imposters in 2024, which seems crazy low, considering just the H&R Block breach was $6 million.
I think you're right to be skeptical. Sources suggest the CRA has a backlog of suspicious cases that haven't even been classified as confirmed breaches yet. So that $3 million is probably just the tip of the iceberg.
It feels like they're trying to sweep it all under the rug instead of actually addressing the problem.
Yeah.
What are they doing to improve their security? Because what they're doing right now clearly isn't working.
They say they've implemented new processes and procedures to respond to threats and mitigate risks. And they're offering credit protection to affected taxpayers and working to safeguard their online services.
Okay, but is it actually making a difference? We're still seeing all these breaches. It's like they're plugging one hole while another one opens up.
That's the question, isn't it? It's hard to say for sure without more transparency from the CRA. The sheer number of breaches tells me there are still major vulnerabilities in their systems. And their lack of communication with financial institutions, plus potential internal communication breakdowns, doesn't exactly inspire confidence.
It's just a mess. In the end, it feels like the ones who are paying for the CRA's mistakes are the Canadian taxpayers. We're the ones losing money to these scammers and left feeling vulnerable and uncertain about the safety of our own information.
It's not just about the money either. It's about the feeling that we can't trust the government to keep our information safe. What can we even do to protect ourselves from these scams?
Yeah, what can we do? We can't just stop paying taxes, right?
Right. Well, first off, be really careful with any unexpected messages claiming to be from the CRA. Don't click on links or open attachments in emails or texts unless you're absolutely sure they're legit.
Those phishing attempts are getting so sneaky.
Oh, yeah.
So-
And if you see anything suspicious, report it to the CRA immediately. You can also contact the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center to report any potential fraud.
Okay, good to know. What about passwords? Any tips for creating strong passwords that hackers can't crack easily?
Definitely. Use a combination of upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. And don't use the same password for different accounts. It's also a good idea to turn on two-factor authentication wherever you can. That adds an extra layer of security. You have to enter a code from your phone or email along with your password.
Okay, got it. What else? Feels like you need to be a cybersecurity expert just to stay safe online these days.
It can feel overwhelming, but just being aware of the risks and taking these basic precautions can make a real difference.
It's worth the effort. We can't just wait for the CRA to figure this out. We have to be proactive about our own security, too.
Absolutely. And hopefully by raising awareness about this issue and pushing the CRA to improve their security, we can create a safer online environment for everyone.
It's a team effort. We all need to hold each other accountable.
Definitely.
This whole CRA situation is a wake-up call for all of us. It shows that cybersecurity isn't just some abstract thing. It has real consequences that can affect all of us.
You're absolutely right. And this case with the CRA, it highlights a bigger trend of these cyber threats targeting government agencies and businesses everywhere.
So, Jane, before we wrap up, any final thoughts?
Well, this whole CRA thing is definitely concerning, but it's not hopeless. We need more awareness, stronger security measures, and a commitment to transparency and accountability from the CRA. They have to take a good, hard look at their procedures and prioritize security as much as they do efficiency. And we, as individuals, we need to stay informed and take steps to protect ourselves.
Absolutely. It's a wake-up call for everyone. Jane, as always, thank you for your insights.
My pleasure.
And to our listeners, we hope this has been informative, even if it's a little bit unsettling. Does this make you think about the security of your own tax information? What are you doing to protect yourself from these scams? We really encourage you to share your thoughts and continue the conversation online. Thanks for listening.
Makes you wonder if they're really committed to fixing this or just trying to save face.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So what are they actually doing to improve their security? They keep talking about these new measures, but what does that even mean?
Right. Well, one thing they're doing is implementing AI-powered fraud detection systems.
Well,
These systems, they use machine learning to analyze patterns and flag suspicious activity, like in real time.
so it's like having a digital detective watching over your shoulder.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Except way smarter.
Makes sense.
It's about automating the process and making it much harder for scammers to slip through. They're also partnering with, specialized cybersecurity firms to help them identify and patch vulnerabilities in their systems.
They're bringing in the big guns.
It's a step in the right direction for sure.
Okay.
But it's not just about fancy technology, right?
Right.
They also need to improve their communication, both internally and with external partners like financial institutions.
You're talking about that lack of information sharing we talked about before, like not telling banks about potential frauds so they can block those transactions.
Exactly. If the CRA isn't sharing that crucial information with the people who can actually help stop these scams, it's like fighting with one hand tied behind your back.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, we'll handle this ourselves, thanks. But clearly they're not. They need to realize that this is a team effort. They need all the help they can get.
I agree. And they need to be more transparent about how bad the problem really is. Sweeping it under the rug only makes things worse. They need to own up to their mistakes, tell the public exactly what's going on and what they're doing to fix it.
Transparency is key, for sure. If people don't trust the CRA to keep their info safe, it undermines the whole system. People might start thinking, why bother filing my taxes if it's just going to end up in the hands of some hacker?
That's a slippery slope. The CRA really needs to regain public trust.
Absolutely.
And that starts with being honest and accountable.
So they're implementing AI, partnering with cybersecurity firms, and hopefully working on communication issues. But what about us? What can we do to protect ourselves while they get their act together?
That's a great question. The CRA should definitely be taking the lead, but we can't just sit back and wait, right? We need to be proactive and take steps to protect ourselves.
So what can our listeners do right now? Any practical tips?
Well, first of all, be extra vigilant, really, really careful about any communication claiming to be from the CRA.
Okay.
Don't click on links or open attachments unless you're 100% certain they're legitimate.
Got it.
Scammers are getting better and better, so it's really easy to fall for these phishing attempts.
Right. So basically treat any unexpected communication from the CRA with extreme caution. If it seems off, it probably is.
Exactly. And if you're ever unsure, reach out to the CRA directly. Go through their official website or phone number. Don't use the contact info in that suspicious message.
Good point. Verify, verify, verify. What else?
Another crucial step is to create strong, unique passwords for all your online accounts, especially your CRA My account. A strong password, at least 12 characters long, and a mix of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols.
I know, I know. It's a pain to remember all those different passwords, but I guess it's worth it.
It really is. And if you're having trouble keeping track, look into a good password manager.
What about two-factor authentication? You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
How does that work and why is it so important?
It adds an extra layer of security. It makes you enter a code from your phone or email on top of your password when you log in. So even if someone steals your password, it's much harder for them to actually get into your account.
So it's like a double lock in your door.
Precisely. And a lot of online services, including the CRA, offer it, so enable it whenever you can.
Okay. Strong passwords, two-factor authentication, anything else?
Definitely. Regularly check your credit report. Look for any weird activity. Scammers can use stolen info to open new accounts in your name, so it's important to keep tabs on your credit history.
So basically, be aware, be proactive. We can't just rely on the CRA to protect us.
You got it. We need to take matters into our own hands. And hopefully, by spreading the word and demanding better security measures, we can make the CRA step up and create a safer online world for all of us.
It is a bit unsettling how much responsibility is on us. But I guess that's just how it is these days.
It's definitely a different way of thinking about things. We're used to big institutions like the CRA being the ones keeping our info safe, but in reality, we all have a role to play in cybersecurity.
It's a shared responsibility, kind of like how we all need to do our part for the environment.
Exactly. We can't assume someone else will take care of it. We need to be informed, be proactive, and protect ourselves.
So beyond the practical tips, is there anything bigger we can do to push for change? I mean, we can't just accept this level of vulnerability, right?
Absolutely not. One of the most important things we can do is demand more transparency and accountability from the CRA.
Okay.
They need to be more upfront about these breaches, how bad they are, and what they're doing to fix them and prevent them in the future.
So hold their feet to the fire.
Yeah, exactly. Make them answer for these security lapses. We can contact our elected officials, write letters to newspapers, use social media to raise awareness, put pressure on the CRA to improve their security practices.
So it's like collective action. If enough people speak up, they can't ignore us.
Exactly. We also need to support organizations fighting for stronger privacy and data protection laws. There's a lot of work to be done, and we have to make our voices heard.
It's a bit of a David and Goliath situation, right? Except in this case, David is a whole bunch of informed citizens.
I like that. We might not be able to stop these cyber attacks on our own, but together we can push for the changes we need to make a more secure digital environment.
It's good to know we can actually make a difference.
Yeah.
So, Jane, as we wrap up, any final words of wisdom for our listeners?
This whole CRA mess, it's a wake-up call. Cybersecurity isn't some abstract concept just for tech experts. It's a real danger that can impact every single one of us. But it's not all doom and gloom. By staying informed, taking those steps to protect ourselves, and demanding change, we can create a safer online world for everyone.
Well said, Jane. I totally agree. It's a call to action to be vigilant, proactive, and demand better security from the institutions that hold our sensitive information. We can't just hope it goes away. We need to face it head on.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power. And by talking about this and raising awareness, we're moving in the right direction.
Thanks for joining us today, Jane. Always great to have you on.
It was my pleasure, Mike.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Canadian News Summaries. We hope this gave you something to think about maybe even a little push to take your online security a bit more seriously. Stay safe online, and we'll see you next time.